Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our live lesson with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. My name is Sam, and I am the Teaching and Learning Lead with Nelson and Edwin's Classroom Success Team. And we're super excited to partner with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants this month to bring some stories of conservation from the field. So before we get started, I just have a couple of introductory slides that we're going to go through, and then we'll hand it over to go live from the field. So first and foremost, I just wanted to give those of you who are watching who might not be as familiar with Edwin a little summary of who we are. For over a century, Nelson has been proud to be Canada's leading education content provider, empowering K-12 educators and students. And our commitment is to meeting the unique needs of students and teachers, which led to the development of Edwin, which is our digital learning platform that makes learning more engaging, inclusive, and accessible. So for those of you who do have access to Edwin, you should have a link to some supplemental resources of what we're going to learn about today. And for those of you who do not have access to Edwin, but maybe you're curious, you can go to edwin.com to check that out. Now, I do just want to also do a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge the traditional land and territory where Edwin's head office is located here in Toronto, which is the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of Scugog, Hiawatha First Nation, Alderville First Nation, and the Métis Nation. Through resources in print and digital, Nelson commits to learning about or teaching about past and present injustices and providing supporting resources to help learn about what we can do to work towards the goal of reconciliation. Personally, I'm really excited to hear some stories in the field here as well, and how different types of knowledge can help us to understand how we can protect our planet. So today, we're going to investigate some environmental issues and consider their impacts on communities and the natural world. We will identify some actions that can help protect, restore, or conserve natural systems and resources. And we're also going to, at the end of our time together, hopefully develop a better understanding of conservation, stewardship, and sustainability, and what that actually looks by some really cool people doing some really cool things across the world. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it back over to Joe and Andrea, and welcome to Toucan Rescue Ranch.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam, for that great intro. We are going to bring in the Toucan Rescue Ranch from Costa Rica. A little bit of background. They are focused on the care, rehabilitation, release of national wildlife since 2004. So they provide sanctuary while giving treatment, rehabilitation, and while possible, releasing animals back to their natural environment. So at any given time, there could be toucans, sloths, owls, and even a larger array of wildlife from weasels to porcupines, small cats, kinkajous, parrots, and more. So let's get Andrea in here with us live right now. Hey, Andrea, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for having us again.
Of course. We always love our time in Costa Rica. We can hear some of the birds greeting us as well right now.
Yeah, they're all as excited as I am to be here today.
Excellent. Well, I want to cover a quick housekeeping item. If you're tuning in via YouTube, don't decide to use the chat sidebar. Let us know where you're viewing from. And then, of course, send in your questions. So We're going to meet some different animals at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, and we'll take pauses for questions. So as questions come in the classroom, put them into the chat for us, and we'll relay those to Andrea. But Andrea, let's let you take over for a little bit. We're excited to see a little bit of the work you guys do.
Awesome. And just as Joe was saying, I hope you guys get lots of questions. I would love to answer as many as possible, as always, during these sessions. So here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, we got started back in 2004, rescuing mainly toucans and then other birds such as parrots, parakeets, and macaws, the ones that you can hear in the background. And so we were very successful, into rescuing them and working with them. Our founder had lots of experience, working with animals beforehand. And so she saw that there was a very big need of having a place that would work with toucans here in Costa Rica, because even though there were toucans need to be rescued, there were actually not a lot of people that were interested in rescuing toucans. And so she stepped in and she created this amazing place. After that, for the first couple of years, it was mainly just birds. And 2007, we rescued our first ever sloth. Her name was Mili, short for Milagro, miracle in Spanish. And she was the one who opened up so many opportunities for us to rescue more sloths and other mammals and a lot of very different animals. And so if it wasn't because of Mili, we probably wouldn't be talking about sloths today. So we gotta thank her for that. In these, all throughout these years, at the very beginning, people still did not believe it was possible to hand raise baby sloths and then bring them back into the wild. And through our rescue center, we started a program called Saving Sloths Together, in which we try to rescue as many orphan babies as possible, or, we take them in as much as possible. And the main idea is for them to go back into the wild afterwards. That's the ultimate goal for every single animal that arrives here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. And so our sloths, they go to school, just like you guys. And so, just like with us people, we get to learn the very basics of, living as adults and all of the things that we need to be successful as adults. We do the same thing with the sloths. And so our sloths, they get to learn how to go to, to the bathroom, because their moms would be the ones that teach them that. How to defend themselves, how to climb, what leaves to eat, and all of those kinds of things. And so we're really proud of our sloth school. Of course, we also have some sloths and some other animals that unfortunately are not able to go back into the wild. So yes, they're rescued, they're rehabilitated, but they gotta stay because they have some sort of issue going on, whether it is that they have an injury that will make them unable to survive on their own, or in some cases they're kind of used to being around people. And so those animals, because we don't know what kind of person they may find in the wild, here we have the best intentions, and we know that we're not going to hurt the animals, but we do not know what kind of person they may find out there. And so all of those animals that are kind of used to being around people, it is best for them to stay here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch's sanctuary. And so most of the animals that we will get to see today, if not all of them, are sanctuary animals. And so we're going to be learning some stories, from our residents, and hopefully you guys also get lots of questions from them. So we're actually going to get started with the sloths. It has been a little bit chilly today, and it's been raining a little bit, and sloths do not like the extremes. They don't like it really cold, and they don't like it really hot. If they're too cold or too hot, what they're going to do is that they're going to choose to sleep it out, to rest it out, so that they can conserve as much body energy as possible. And so right now, all of our sloths, they're doing just that. They're just snuggling inside their buckets. And so at least we're going to be able to see, them inside of their buckets. So let me just flip my camera around. Alrighty. And so over here we have one of those sloths that I was talking about. Her name is Fiesta. Fiesta is a two-fingered sloth, same as the rest of the sloths that we're going to learn from today. And then I don't know if you guys get to see, but up there, That one is Nevada. And Nevada, she's another two-fingered sloth, and she's sleeping in a more natural position at the moment. So we love that for her. Then over here we have Helga. And Helga here, she's going to help me talk a little bit about two and three-fingered sloths. So you may be confused because Helga is actually a two-fingered sloth or two-toed sloth. I don't know how you guys know them. But as you can see from there, there's three fingers over here, right? So those are actually her toes. Those are, the her fingers on her feet. And so I personally do not like to call them two-toed or three-toed sloth. I prefer to call them two-fingered or three-fingered sloth because it's going to be in their hands that changes. So two-fingered sloths, they're going to have two fingers in their hands, three toes in their back legs, and three-fingered sloths are going to have three fingers in their hands, three toes in their back legs. So again, what you're seeing is just one of her feet. No clue which one though, but one of her feet. Now, something interesting about sloths is that most of what we get to learn about them, in school, watching documentaries or the TV or reading things on books or even on the internet, most of what we get to learn about them is actually wrong, or there's lots of misinformation or misconceptions. So one of the biggest lies we've ever gotten to learn about sloths is that they are the slowest animals on earth based on how they move. Because most of the times you are going to see them moving slowly or slower than other animals, but that does not make them the slowest animals on earth. Actually, what makes them one of the slowest animals on earth is their metabolism, the way that they digest their food. And so it can take them about 20 to 30 days for them to digest and process everything that they have been eating and then going to the bathroom. For us humans, whatever you guys get to eat today for, what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're most likely going to digest it and, poop it out tomorrow whenever you go to the bathroom, either tomorrow or the day after. For sloths, if we were a sloth, whatever we get to eat today for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it is going to take us 20 days or 20 to 30 days for us to digest it and then poop it out. Sloths only go to the bathroom like once a week or so. So I don't know how many times you guys go to the bathroom. I'm pretty sure and hopeful that it is quite often for your own health. Imagine having to hold it for about a month or sometimes even more than for about a week. Sorry. And so sloths only go to the bathroom once a week, or sometimes every other week. So every 7 to 15 days or so. Before they go to the bathroom, it's really funny to see them because they're like super bloated and they're like, you can really tell that they need to go to the bathroom because their bellies are so big. And then after they go to the bathroom, they lose up to like 1/3 of their body weight. So they lose a lot of body weight. And they're skinny again after going to the bathroom. So it is a very big difference seeing them before and after, which is hilarious. Some other things, and let's see if we can find another sloth. Latte is hiding underneath her blankets right here. I see some movement of her breathing. I don't know if she would like to come outside or not, though. Oh, wait. Maybe yes. Hello? Good morning. Another thing that we usually, get to see, especially from social media and like pictures and everything, is that people seem to think that sloths are cuddly animals and that sloths really like to be around people and cuddled by people, and that is far from being the truth. Actually, sloths do not like to be around people, and they can get sick from being like very close to people whenever there's like people hugging them and cuddling with them and having them all over around, which is very unfortunate because they really do not like it, and some of them, they gotta stick with people like cuddling with them, especially for the sake of a picture. And so actually, sloths, even though it may not seem like it, but they can defend themselves quite well. Again, we usually think of sloths as being very slow moving animals, and whenever they need to move fast, oh, I see the sloth that is outside. Whenever they need to move fast because there is, a predator behind them, so they gotta be like very fast whenever they defend themselves, they can move extremely fast. So it takes a matter of seconds until they swat at their predators. Also, two-finger sloths are known for having very big canine teeth. So they have 4 canine teeth, 2 on the top and 2 on their bottom jaw. You may be able to see it in just a second. And so they will use those canine teeth to be able to defend themselves, which is, again, something that we usually do not think about. So I'm going to flip my camera again and give it to Weenie, who's enjoying his brunch. So if you guys pay close attention to Weenie's mouth, okay, that's a very good close-up, Weenie, thank you. You may be able to see his teeth right there. Kind of. Stop moving. Then you can also see, his claws. So their claws are also very powerful, and they do use those claws to be able to defend themselves quite well. And so that is also very surprising. Sloths are 3 times stronger than an average human. So if a sloth grabs you and you're trying to get away from them, the more you struggle to get away from them, the more they're going to hold on to you, and it can hurt quite a lot. Now, sloths are mainly, herbivores. They mainly feed off of leaves. However, two-fingered sloths, we like to call them opportunistic omnivores because other than leaves and flowers and fruits, they may also be able to eat other smaller animals such as baby birds, eggs, lizards, insects, or whatever else they can catch. So right over here, for example, he's got, some scrambled eggs, green beans and carrots. And so we steam those green beans and carrots to spoil them a little bit more and help them with the digestion. But you can also get to see those scrambled eggs. So the scrambled eggs are for them to get a little bit more protein, just as they would in the wild. And right there, you can see one of those vampire teeth, one of those canine-like teeth, very, very big. Something interesting about sloth teeth is that they never stop growing. So the tooth fairy does not really pay them a visit, just because they don't have baby teeth like we do. They're already born with their permanent set of teeth, and so their teeth are going to continuously grow throughout their lives. Since they overlap every time, they overlap kind of like this. Every time they open and close their mouths, they're going to start grinding them down, so they can be very, very sharp. So again, that's a very nice defense mechanism for them. And he's feeling shy because he's putting his hand right in front of his mouth every time. Hello. Then again, Weenie is a 3-finger sloth, so there's 3 toes over here and 2 fingers in his hand. Great demonstration. Thank you, Weenie. Also, sloths don't really have a good eyesight. They rely even more on their sense of smell and, their touch. And so they also have a very good spatial memory. So they get to memorize their surroundings. And so, for example, he's got a mental map of his whole enclosure. And so he kind of knows how to get to the other side. He knows that there's some branches that go all over here. So he can get to the other side. Sometimes what we do for them to have more of a mental exercise is that we will try to change those branches around so that he's not used to one single setting, and that way he has to think now, okay, if I need to get to the other side, I don't have these branches anymore, I gotta go the other way, for example. So it's always really, really good to keep them, engaged and always trying to think of new ways on how to move, and basically just keep them stimulated. Joe, I don't know if you want to give some time for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to keep this nice and full screen, though, because we want to see this eating action.
Mhm.
So those who are viewing, I can see we've got lots of people tuning in, lots of classrooms, so don't be shy to use that chat sidebar and send us in some questions. Before I start taking questions from the chat, Andrea, I want to know a little bit more. Can you tell the students a little bit more about some of the ways that sloths, some of the dangers they're facing out in their habitats and some of the ways they might end up with you at the Toucan Rescue Ranch?
Of course, yeah. So we get to rescue sloths because of 4 main reasons. The first one being electrocutions. So if you ever come here to Costa Rica or any other Central or South American country too, honestly, you're going to see that there's lots of power lines and electrical wires everywhere. So the electrical wires are not underground like in most places in the States, maybe Canada. I'm not really sure. I've never visited Canada. And so animals don't really see the difference between a wire and a vine or a branch, and so once they touch 1 or 2 of those wires they can get electrocuted. So all of those burn wounds, we got to rescue them with that, and we have to make sure that they don't have any internal damage. Sometimes we do need to amputate, one of their limbs. So let's say, for example, that Weenie got electrocuted, and he's got burn wounds on his right limb over here. We might have to amputate it. So he would be left with just 3 limbs. However, sloths are very resilient. They're very strong, and they can still go back into the wild, even if they're missing, a leg or an arm or, fingers or something. Then the second reason why we gotta rescue them so much is because of dog attacks. So sometimes people will let their dogs loose and roam around without any supervision. And whenever they see an animal, they're gonna have like those instincts kicking in, and so they're gonna try to either like play with them or attack them or go after them. And so they may also come very badly injured after them. Then they can also get run over by cars, which does not happen as often with sloths, but it can also happen. And then the fourth reason, it's gotta do with the babies too. And so with the babies, sometimes something happened to their mothers, or their mothers are not able to take care of them because they're in the clinic receiving critical care, or sometimes they're deceased, and so we gotta step in and try to rescue them and you raise them and everything. And so basically their main threats right now, well, if you notice, like, all of the reasons why they're here are because like human reasons. The wires are ours to use for electricity, or sometimes if they got run over by cars, it's because maybe they're crossing a road to get from one side of the forest to the other, and there's no connectivity, so that's also our fault since we're destroying their habitats. Or even with the dogs and cats are our own responsibility because they're domesticated. They should be inside the houses and they should be under supervision. And if they're not supervised, then all of these accidents may happen.
Okay, well, the chat has flooded with questions, Andrea, so here
Great.
we go. You talked about the teeth growing, but I have a question here wondering, do their claws, do their fingers, do they grow like fingernails, their claws?
Yes and no. So basically, their claws are an extension of the bone. So if you ever get to see like an X-ray, you would see like all of this is bone, and then their claw would also be like bone. However, on top of the claw, what we're able to see, like what we see right here, it is not bone, it is keratin. So they have keratin just like with our fingernails, and that is what is going to keep on growing. And so they need to have like the branches to be able to wear them out naturally. And so in the wild, they're not going to have like very long claws just because they're always climbing all over around. And it's also important to keep them, with branches of different sizes and different like structures and everything, so that they can wear them out. But yeah, so the bone will not keep on growing, but the keratin shield is going to keep on growing, just like our fingernails.
Okay. Elena in Canada wants to know, we can see the veggies, we can see the eggs, but in the wild, what kind of fruits or vegetables or leaves, what would this two-fingered sloth be going after in the wild?
Yeah, that is a great question, actually. So, of course, in the wild, they're not going to get steamed green beans and carrots. That's something that we only give them here. We also give them leaves every day. So, they've got some leaves all over their enclosure that they can go and start eating whenever they feel like it. And so in the wild, they're going to feed mostly off of leaves. They're going to be living up on the tree. Maybe some fruits here and there and some seeds, although seeds are not really like so commonly for them to eat, but fruits, yes. And then two-fingered sloths, if they're up in the tree and they find a baby bird on a nest or some, bird's eggs on a nest, they're not going to waste that opportunity and they're going to eat them. Same if they find like a lizard that is like just like lounging around or hanging around and they can grab it. They're not going to be like actively hunting like a predator, but they're opportunistic because if they get the opportunity to get one of those animals, they can do so.
Okay, I'm going to hit you with a double header question, Andrea. Are sloths good at swimming, and how old can they get?
So yes, they're very good at swimming. They actually have a lot of buoyancy, and so their stomachs are filled with a lot of gas. And so because they get a lot of trapped gas over here, they get quite bloated, and so that gives them a very good buoyancy. So that's like a flotation device. So whenever they're crossing a river or they're swimming in a river, they're going to be like floating mostly from their belly. So that allows them to swim very well. Some of them are actually faster when swimming than when climbing, for example. And then how old they can get, I would love to give you guys an answer, or at least like a correct answer. But my answer at the moment is I have no idea. No one has ever followed a sloth since the moment they're born to the moment they die, at least not in the wild. So there's not like an accurate lifespan that we can give you. There's not like a correct number. But here we like to think maybe somewhere around their 20s. So 20 to 25 years. But who knows? We need more people interested in researching sloths if any of you feel like it.
Okay, two more sloth questions for you before maybe we see somebody else at the ranch.
Sure.
We have some fifth grade. So these are both about Winnie. So fifth graders here in Ontario want to know, is Winnie fully grown? Can they get much bigger? Two-fingered sloth. And then Magnus wants to know how Winnie ended up with you guys.
Okay, so Winnie arrived when he was a teeny tiny baby back in 2021, so he's 5 years old now. We're not really exactly sure what happened to his mother, and that is very common too. Sometimes we get the babies and we're not really sure like what happened to their mothers. And he was actually he went to school. However, he's got some health complications that made him unable to go back into the wild. And so our vets decided that it was going to be best, for him to stay with us. And so he became a permanent resident after, the vets decided that it was going to be best for him. And then what was the first question?
Mrs. Lococo's fifth graders want to know, can they get much bigger?
So Weenie is 5 years old, and because of those health complications, he's not really able to digest very well. So at 5 years old, he should be way bigger than what he is right now, and he should be weighing a little bit more as to what he's weighing at the moment. And so he should be weighing right now maybe around 4 to 5 kilograms, which is maybe 10 pounds or so. And so he could grow a little bit more, but I don't know if he's going to grow more.
Okay. Well, Andrea, maybe, there we go. We're getting a nice crawl in. Maybe while we transition to see another animal at the ranch, I have Levine hanging out backstage. She's
Mhm.
a homeschool student who likes to join in. And so I bet she has a question. So let me switch things around a little to get, there we go.
How are
Hi.
you doing today?
I'm pretty good, and you?
I'm great, thank you for asking. So I was wondering, what is your favorite animal at the sanctuary?
My favorite, thank you for asking. My favorite animal, her name is Neytiri. Neytiri, she is a jaguarundi. So jaguarundis are one of the 6 different species of wildcats we have in Costa Rica. I'm actually gonna make my way towards where she lives because I don't know if she's out or maybe she's sleeping. If she's out, awesome. I will be able to show her to you guys. And if not, then I'll just leave her sleeping.
Perfect segue.
Oh yeah.
And what is her superpower?
What is her superpower? Well, jaguarundis are really good at imitating bird sounds. So they've got lots of different vocalizations. So they can chirp. And that way they can confuse birds. One of their main things that they hunt are birds. And so I would say that would be like her superpower.
Oh wow, that reminds me of the bats.
Yeah.
We were learning about bats with insects. yesterday.
Oh,
There she is.
Oh, cool. So that is Neytiri. And there she goes. So Neytiri is a jaguarundi. Hey. Jaguarundis, again, they are a species of wildcat. A lot of people call them weasel cats because that elongated body, it actually does look like a weasel or even like a ferret. Some other people, they even call them otter cats, just because also, that elongated body. I personally like to call them miniature pumas because they look just like a miniature puma. Now that she's in the back, I have a picture of her right here. So if you see her face is basically just a puma, but in a mini version. They're also one of the closest living relatives to pumas and cheetahs. She thinks she's just as fast as cheetah, but she's not. She does get lots of these. And so, yeah. Where are you going? You want to come here? Hi. So Neytiri, she arrived 3 years ago when she was a teeny tiny baby. She was like maybe a month old when she arrived, and she's the result of a false rescue. So a false rescue is basically an animal that was not in need to be rescued. Sometimes people with the best intentions, they find baby animals and they think that they were abandoned, when that was not the case most of the times. And so with false rescues, if we have a solitary animal, wait, I'm trying to switch my camera again. If we have a solitary animal like jaguarundis, their mothers are not really going to be able to bring them out hunting when they're babies, because they can be very vulnerable, and other animals can get them or they can get lost or something. Same happens with prey animals like deer or rabbits or stuff. And so whenever there's a solitary species, what those single moms will do is that they will leave them behind in a burrow or in a den or somewhere safe until she can come back and continue taking care of them. Contrary to what lions do, for example, lions live in very big families, and there will always be someone staying behind taking care of the teeny tiny cubs, whether that is the males or maybe another female. And so with Neytiri, someone found her, thought that she was abandoned, and decided to rescue her without even checking if she was indeed abandoned or not. So again, they had the best intentions, but maybe they were confused as to what to do. Like, the best case scenario for those kinds of things is just leave them be. Like, you can continue checking on them and monitoring them from afar, making sure that mom indeed abandoned them, or maybe something happened to mom, unfortunately. And that if you see that they were indeed abandoned, then yes, you can rescue them. Sometimes mom can be out for more than a couple of hours, sometimes like a very long while. And so you gotta give them time. But eventually, like if mom is out hunting or looking for food, she will come back. So with Naty, we did try to see if we could, rehabilitate her and teach her how to hunt and how to be a wildcat, and be successful. But with carnivores, they quickly learn that we are going to be their food providers. We are going to be the ones that take care of them. And what's easier, having someone that is going to give you food and water and everything you need, or actually having to learn how to hunt? She learned that, she realized that, and she decided that she was not really going to put a lot of effort into hunting and learning how to hunt. She also did not have mom with her to teach her how to hunt, so that was going to be very difficult. And so the vets also decided that it was going to be wiser for her to stay, just because she was not going to be very successful out there.
So Andrea, I know it looks like you're heading to the toucans, but before you get there, I have a question. If Natiri is very fast, how fast is Natiri?
She's not as fast as a cheetah, and she does not run that much. But whenever she gets her zoomies, like she will start zooming in all over her enclosure.
All right. And one more question from a grade 5 class here. What would you say, between the parrot, the macaws, the toucans, the sloths, what is maybe the number one thing happening in Costa Rica that's leading to you having to rescue the animals?
People having them as pets. So, many years ago, here in Latin America especially, people used to think that having parrots, parakeets, macaws, or even toucans as pets was going to be a very good thing, that they made, very good pets. But they did not realize that, well, these guys, they can live for a very long time. For more than 50 years, if well taken care of. And they're also very high demand animals. They need lots of care and lots of proper care. That sometimes people don't really know what to do. So I know people that gave their parrots coffee and crackers, which is a big no-no. I mean, parrots, they should be just eating seeds, definitely not coffee and definitely not crackers. And so with the ones that do get coffee, they make it like the coffee with withdrawal. So they make it like very anxious because they want more caffeine and they want more coffee. And that is kind of like poisoning them. In Costa Rica, back in 2012, it became illegal for people to have any kind of wild animal as a pet. So that was a step in the right direction for sure. But unfortunately, there's still some people that like to have them as pets. So most of the stories of all of the animals here in the sanctuary are quite repetitive, as to like, this one was kept as a pet, this other one was kept as a pet, and all of those kinds of stories. And even now in 2026, there's still a lot of people that want to keep them as pets. And also, like with the monkeys or the wildcats, I still don't understand how someone would think having a monkey is a good idea, because it never is. But it does happen.
All right. Well, I think you're pretty close to the toucan enclosure. So
yeah,
let's take a look.
I had some parakeets in front of me, and they were kind of like, but I also have a toucan waiting to be the spotlight. So here in Costa Rica, we have 6 different species of toucans. Here at the ranch, we're going to be able to meet 4 of those 6 different species. So we're going to get started with one of my favorites, that are the fiery-billed asaris. So toucans are often divided into 3 different groups. We have the large, or the true toucans, as some people call them, which would be the rainbow-billed toucans, chestnut mandible toucans, choco toucans, and all of them. We're going to go and see the rainbow-billed toucan in just a second. Then there's like the medium-sized species of toucans, which would be the arasaris. In Costa Rica, we have 2 different species, and there's many more in the world. And then there's the toucanettes, or the smaller toucans. And so we don't have any toucanettes here at the ranch, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, but unfortunately. So I would not be able to show them to you. But we do have some of the other arasaris and the other toucans. So fiery billed arasaris like both in the world, you're only going to find them here in Costa Rica, in a very small part of Western Panama. So their distribution range, where they live, is very, very much limited. Bo over here, as you can see, he's quite interested in the camera, and he seems quite friendly. He was kept as a pet. Like, he was rescued when he was a baby. He barely had any feathers. And this lady like kept him in the house, and I don't know if she really wanted to like raise him so that eventually he would go back into the wild, or if she was thinking of keeping him. But he got extremely used to being around people, clearly, which is the main reason why he's not really able to go back. He's very healthy, yes. He flies and he eats on his own and all of those kinds of things, but he sees people as good, like as something good. He sees people as his food providers too. And we don't want him to be like getting close to people. What are you doing? He's still quite a juvenile, you know, quite a baby. He still has a little bit more room to grow. Especially around his bill. His bill may get a little bit bigger as he grows older, and it's going to get like a more vibrant color, orange coloration. So yeah. Then toucans, they are omnivores, meaning they eat almost everything that they can find. Most of their diet is based off of fruits and berries. He's got one of berry right there that he's trying to eat. And you know, they can also eat other animals, such as other birds, eggs from other birds, lizards, snakes, frogs, even smaller mammals. I have seen pictures of toucans trying to eat like a bat, or maybe even like a baby monkey, or squirrels, or sometimes like rats. And so that is very interesting. Not a lot of people, you know that these guys get to eat other animals. I like to joke saying that they don't eat people just because we're too big for them. But if we were smaller, I am pretty sure that they would eat us, no doubt. I also like to think of toucans as, you know, smaller pterodactyls, one of those dinosaurs, so they're pretty cool. Arasaris also do like very weird vocalizations, so they may also sound like, you know, dinosaurs. Goodbye, Bo. Then we have the rainbow-billed or keel-billed toucans, as so many people call them. Rainbow-billed toucans are one of the more popular species of toucans. He's just right here on the corner, like up on the left corner, and he's coming. Thank you, Mojito. So Mojito, he got attacked by dogs, and he's got a broken wing that unfortunately was not really able to be repaired. And that is why he's still living here with us at the ranch. And as you can see, he's also quite friendly and also quite like interested in me and the phone. And so he's not able to fly anymore because of that wing injury. But also, if he was able to fly, he would not be able to go back just because of his behavior. Hey, that's my phone. Now, all of the colors that they have on their bill, you know, this is why they're called rainbow-billed toucans. They've got almost all of the colors of the rainbow in their bill. Believe it or not, it actually acts as very good camouflage. So up in the trees, there's lots of shadows, and like there's leaves of different colors. And so if Mojito was up here, believe me, he would be almost invisible to see, right? Now he's doing a really good demonstration of jumping from one branch to another. So something that toucans and parrots have in common is that they have zygodactylous feet, meaning they have two toes in front and two toes behind. Let me see if maybe Hera over here will show that to us. You can kind of see it right there. So again, two toes in front, two toes behind. For parrots, macaws, and parakeets, they're going to use those zygodactylous feet to be able to, climb and move around. For toucans, they use them mostly for jumping from one branch to another. Great demonstration. Thank you so much, Hera. And so their legs also help them to, hop from one side of the branch to another. And their feet will give them lots of grip on different surfaces. So that's also really, really nice for them. Their bills, even though they're hollow and, they're made out of a spongy cartilage, it's not made out of bone. It still is like an extra weight for them, so they're not really able to fly that much. They do not migrate, for example, so they can only fly from like very short distances. And also, if you get to see a toucan flying, they don't have like a straight pattern. They actually go like up, 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 and then down, up, 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 and then down, just because of that extra weight that their bills have for them. Hera, she is a collared Darasari, so kind of like a distant cousin for the fiery billed Darasaris, like Bo. And they're pretty awesome too. You can find them in different countries, not only here in Costa Rica. So they're pretty popular in some other places. And she's also very interested in my phone. So she was also kept as a pet. You can see they have very long tails too. So their tails will also help them to, fly from one place to another. And then their bills, they use them to be able to regulate their body temperature. So if it is a very hot day, they will send most of their blood flow towards their bill, open it up, and let the cooler air cool themselves down a little bit. However, if it was too cold or during the night when they're sleeping, they do the opposite. They send most of their blood flow towards the rest of their bodies. They put their bill underneath their wing, and that way they can be a little bit warmer. So again, it's kind of like having a built-in radiator on their bill. And then last and definitely not least, before we get our toucan questions, we have the chestnut mandible toucans, or some people also call them yellow-throated toucans. So this is a picture just in case they do not come to the front, which I'm pretty sure Zuri will. And so chestnut mandible toucans are the largest species of toucan we have in Costa Rica and the second largest species of toucan in the world. And by in the world, I just mean, Central and South America, where you can naturally find toucans. Hello. Zuri here, she's kind of like a wackadoodle. She's a little bit crazy. She was also kept as a pet, and we don't really know her backstory, but we just know that she is very aggressive towards women. So she does not like me that much. So she will try to peck on me and attack me just like that. Please don't do that. Why are you doing that? And so, yeah, she is definitely missing something up there. And she knows how to tell boys from girls apart, which is very interesting and also hilarious. We have, unfortunately, more girls than like in this case, unfortunately we have more girl volunteers than boys, and so whenever the girls have to go and clean inside her enclosure, they always like to take turns, and they're all traumatized by Zuri. The boys, on the other hand, they're like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Just because she's okay with everyone else. Now, Joe, let's give space for some toucan questions.
Okay, I do have questions. Let's see. So the toucan, like it might be a grade 7 class. Are they closely related to hornbills?
Oh, that is an awesome question, and I'm really glad that you also know what a hornbill is. For the ones that do not know, if you guys watch the movie Lion King and remember Zazu, Zazu is a hornbill. So no, they are not related. What happened there was something called convergent evolution. So both of the species, both of hornbills and toucans, they have very similar traits. Their bill is definitely very similar to one another. However, hornbills, they have a much thicker and stronger bill than these guys. Like these guys are not really able to crack open seeds and nuts. Hornbills, on the other side, from what I understand, they do have like a more like a stronger bill that will allow them to like eat other stuff. And yeah, they're also omnivores, so both of them have almost the same diet. Some species of hornbills are a little bit more frugivorous than others. Same with the toucan. Some of them are more frugivorous than others. Some of them are more generalistic. But yeah, even though they do look similar, they're not related to one another.
Okay. A few more questions here coming in about toucans. You talked about their beak and how it can help them regulate their body temperature.
Yes.
But this grade 6 classroom wants to know, is it any other use to them? Does it serve any other purpose?
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely use it for eating. So since they also like to eat insects, they may use their bills to go inside like crevices on the trees, or if there's like a hole in the tree, so that they can get the insect, or maybe there's a bird or a mammal or any other animal nesting inside of that like cavity, and so they may use their bills to go inside of the cavity and get the animal and get their prey. Or let's say that there were some berries up here, and there's no way for her to get like up here, like with her feet. That very long bill will also help them to just like grab stuff. Whoop, do not fall down.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Magnus in Vancouver wants to know which toucan, so which species that are at the ranch is the loudest?
That would be the chestnut mandible toucan. We have 3: Princess, Zuri, and Moonshine, and they love to sing very early in the morning and late in the evening. So they sound kind of like. So they start singing like that.
All right. I've got 2 more toucan questions and then a couple of general ones before we wrap up, Andrea. So they want to know about beak color, one group, and 5th graders and 6th graders want to know about eyesight. So how good is their eyesight? And then the beak colors, is it for anything besides camouflage? Does it attract other birds, for instance?
It does not attract other birds, but it definitely helps them to camouflage with one another and also tell, each species apart from each other. And then their eyesight is very good. They're also able to see the UV light, just like parrots and parakeets and hummingbirds and some other birds. And so by being able to see the UV light, they're able to see like which fruits are ripe and which ones are not. So it helps them locate, the better fruits. With the hummingbirds, being able to see the UV light allows them to see which flowers are like the newest ones, and which ones have more nectar. So yeah, they do have a very good eyesight.
Okay, before we grab some general questions, I'm going to check in with Livy and see if she has a toucan question for us. Let me adjust our view. There we go.
Hi. So I was also wondering 2 things. Number 1, how big can a rainbow-beaked toucan get? And number 2, in the wild, how well do these different kinds of toucans coexist together, if they coexist?
They don't really coexist. It is a lot of competition. because they eat almost the same thing, and so they will try to scare each other away. The bigger toucans are definitely going to be bullying the smaller ones, and so they may shoo them away. And sometimes things can get very aggressive between each other, and they may also be a little bit more territorial. So yeah, most of it is like resource guarding. And then how big can the rainbow-billed toucans get? How big can you? Well, definitely like bigger than mojito here. I don't really know like in centimeters how big they could get, but I want to say like maybe around 50 centimeters. So I mean they can get bigger for sure. So I'm gonna say that around 40 to 50 centimeters, perhaps tall, at least.
Okay. All right, I've got a few general questions before we say goodbye. Andrea, what do you think, because the Toucan Rescue Ranch, any given time we connected with you, who knows what could be there. Sometimes it's crocodiles and who knows. So what would you say is the most endangered Costa Rican species that you've had at the rescue ranch?
That is a fabulous question. So, well, we have great green macaws that are considered critically endangered here in Costa Rica. There's just like 600 individuals left in the wild, and we work with them. We also work with yellow-naped Amazon parrots, and they're also critically endangered, mostly because people wanting, to have them as pets. Howler monkeys, even though their population levels are kind of like stable, they're the ones that get mostly electrocuted, and we also work with howler monkeys, so I would say howlers as well. But if I have to highlight one species, it would be taboo, the Central American ancilla, and the clouded ancilla. So he is quite unique. I'm gonna go and find a picture because he might be sleeping. But he's quite unique. He's one of the only or very few clouded ancillas in captivity in the world. And we're blessed to, be able to work with him and be able to, just keep him here and give him a very good, home. He was also most likely kept as a pet, and I say most likely because he knows how to poop on the litter box, and wildcats are not really supposed to know how litter boxes work. But yeah, taboo is definitely one of those very they're endangered for sure. And also being one of the few ones in captivity make him a very vulnerable species. I have his picture right here. So this is taboo. He's related to ocelots and margays. He weighs 5 pounds, around 2.5 kilograms. So he's very petite. And I know house cats that are even bigger than him.
All right. We've heard about some of the animals that have to come and they're too used to humans or they're too injured to go in the wild. But what about a success story? What's one of the most recent animals that you were able to release back into the wild?
Ooh, there have been so many, honestly. I will highlight Viserion, even though he went away back in, I want to say November or December. I don't even remember now. But Viserion was an American crocodile, and he arrived when he was a teeny tiny baby. He was maybe this big. Someone bit him, probably another crocodile bit him on his back, and so he had his back legs paralyzed, and so he was not really able to move. And some people saw him and decided to rescue him, which kudos to those people, because there's not a lot of people interested in saving crocodiles. So very big round of applause for those people. And they brought him here, and indeed he had those paralyzed back legs, and so we had to do lots of physical therapy for him. We also did an orthopedic surgery on him, and after that we did lots of physical therapy. So we even did acupuncture on a crocodile, which was amazing. And he got to spend maybe 3 years with us. And in the process, gladly, he did not get like used to being around people, which is or can be a very big issue for crocodiles, because again, people don't really like crocodiles, and if they see a crocodile getting close to them, they're going to get scared, and most likely they're going to harm them. And after 3 years and a lot of rehabilitation, Viserion is now living back into the wild. He's living in a national park called Tortuguero National Park on the Caribbean side. And so we hope that he is doing good, and, you know, that he is thriving, and that he has the best of luck back in the wild. And I can share like so many good stories. I know that most of the stories that we learned today were kind of sad, but I can tell you guys so many good stories and hopeful stories from all of the animals that are able to go back into the wild, and it's always bittersweet to, you know, just see them going back. So yeah.
So Andrea, it is Earth Day is this month on the 22nd.
Yep.
So, you know, you have students come through all the time, local students. What advice would you give students if they want to do something in their community or around where they live to help protect wildlife or wild places?
Yeah, I mean, well, there are some places that will accept volunteers, and believe me when I tell you, we nonprofits, we rely on the help of volunteers to do so much stuff. Also, lots of these kinds of places, we do not get help from the government, and so we have to do everything from our own budget. And so, you know, fundraising, even like selling cookies for your community, and then donating that money to a local rescue center, a local shelter, or someone that you guys believe and you want to, you know, support. That is a big help. Also, you guys, even though you do not have, you know, macaws or sloths or, you know, ancillas back where you guys live, it's just as like you can help them just by, you know, it's as easy as to not follow people or, you know, reacting to posts on social media of people that have them as pets or promote those kinds of things, and being able to educate everyone that, you know, animals are not, they do not belong in houses, they do not belong in people's backyards, in captivity, and just trying to, you know, protect them as much as they can. That is also a huge help that you can give to the ecosystem. And of course also helping to plant native trees and plants. That is a huge help for your natives, like species of animals, and for the whole ecosystem. And you may be helping maybe just bees or beetles or whatever, but that is a very big help for the ecosystem, as it's all like a circle, you know, the circle of life. So as small as it may seem, any action definitely matters and definitely counts.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to make some adjustments here. I'm going to do this. Andrea, I want to start off, as we always do, with a huge shout out to our classroom. So many great questions today. We weren't able to get to all of them because we're running out of time. I do want to put our email up just in case there's something you really, really want to get answered in your classroom. If you send that question in there, I can send a WhatsApp to Andrea and get an answer for you. If there's something else you want to know, oops, that was a 10-second timer. Let's put that up one more time. If there's something else you want to know, please do send in the question there. You can always go back and rewatch this video on YouTube as well. So a huge shout out to our classrooms. I'm going to bring Sam back in, Sam from Edwin. Sam, thank you so much for helping to set this event up today. It was so great to have classroom students from your community joining us.
Yeah, and thank you, Joe and Andrea. I know I learned a lot, and so I'm sure our classrooms did as well.
All right, excellent. Well, we are here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We have lots of Earth Month events happening all month long. So if you visit our website, exploringbytheseat.com, you can find those there. But we are teaming up with Edwin for another event coming up with my friend, explorer, adventurer George Krunis. He has been, I think he's been out in the field in locations all over the world for like the last 3 or 4 months straight. So he's got conservation stories from Africa, from Antarctica. He'll be joining us. I believe it's on the 23rd at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So you can sign up for that, meet George and hear some of his stories. out in the wild and some of the animals and conservation stuff that he came across. Andrea, I can't thank you enough. We love our visits to the Toucan Rescue Ranch. You guys do such incredible work. And I love that you make education such a big part of what you do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the work that we do wouldn't be possible without the support that you give us. So we love connecting with, new schools and new people from all across the globe. So thanks so much.
Okay. Well, until we hang out with George on the 23rd, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Sam, if you have a final message, go ahead. And then, yeah, we'll wrap up for today.
No, I think just like you said, Joe, we hope to see everybody with George on the 23rd. And thank you again, Andrea, for bringing us virtually to the Toucan Rescue Ranch.
Of course, anytime.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.